Swear to God, I'm not trying to frighten or scare anyone with these videos, but nevertheless, I do believe this information is very valuable to new and prospective drivers that are maybe considering this as a side hustle. They damn well need to know this information. What up, folks? Once again, it is your boy Tim with another ride sharing video. The city of Minneapolis, Minnesota is the target for this video. I do believe you should know about this regardless of what market you're in, because we've often talked about how drivers are used quite often, quite common in a host of markets all over the damn country as victims, as licks. We got a lot of nefarious characters out there that are literally targeting us drivers to take our vehicles and use those in the participation of a secondary felony. In this case, we're talking about a whole damn ring of people doing this to drivers in the city of Minneapolis. But I want to give you some details on it because there's some lessons I strongly believe certainly new drivers, but even veteran drivers might want to look into, because it could help us all stay safe from shit like this. Now, we're talking about one, let me see if I don't butcher the name, Shavirio Kavirion Charles Young. That's one hell of a name. Shavirio Kavirion Charles Young is the name. 20-year-old individual targeting Uber drivers, and he didn't do it alone, but I want you to hear what the authorities, because the feds have gotten him. So he's federal prosecutors that got him, just to show you how serious this is. But listen to what he was doing. Federal prosecutors say Charles Young and others would lure rideshare drivers to certain areas for pickups or drop-offs, then hold the victims at gunpoint and take their phones and wallets. Everything about this story is stated in the plural sense, so there is no reason to deny that these folks were not taken upon victimizing rideshare drivers as a damn hobby. They were doing this over and over again, and as I continue on, you'll see what I mean. Nevertheless, the culprit described here, and I'll give you some of his counterparts as well, or his partners in this game, but he has been charged with conspiracy to use, carry, and brandish firearms and in relations to crimes of violence. So he's basically using a gun to just rob, carjack, beat folks. You're going to hear about all of this shit. So I want to first talk about the notion that they're using us to get us to lure us to remote drop-offs, remote pickup locations. This is why it is exceptionally valuable, very important to know up front the pickup and drop-off location for any trip you're involved in. Because you might pick up somebody that wants to be dropped off near a riverbank somewhere. They don't have any fishing equipment. Why the hell do you want me to drop you off near the river? Well, it might be because your ass is going to end up in the river. So knowing the drop-off location of a passenger is very valuable, because there are areas we all do not want to go to. And there are certain parts of town that you may not be safe if you drive to. Certainly for my drivers that are out there in the middle of the damn morning, in the middle of the night. You know, I always say nothing good happens after midnight. So if you pick up someone that's in a nice area and they want you to drive them to some of the worst parts of the hood, might not be in your best interest. When you see that trip come up, if you know what the drop-off location is, that gives you a little bit more insight, and you have the right to make that decision on whether you want to accept that trip or not, or you want to cancel or decline it, or whatever the case may be. So not knowing the drop-off location puts drivers at a disadvantage, because you should know that information. And also, this certainly would apply to allowing passengers to make changes to the destination mid-trip, which is something we've done many videos on. I'm not a fan of that either, because you want to know and have some control over what neighborhoods you drive to as an independent contractor. As I stated before, it's a whole lot of business folks who do independent contracting work, plumbers, lawn care people, and things like that. They all have neighborhoods and shit they don't deal with. I don't know why the hell, as a rideshare driver, should you lose that right. If you're an independent contractor, there's certain parts of town you don't want to deal with, period. you should have the right to do that. So you absolutely should know where you're going before you get involved in any trip. Same thing with a passenger making destination changes. They should be required to clear that by the driver before just putting that shit in there. That's what leads to arguments, and that is a whole different ball of wax, because that leads to violence as well. We've had drivers, I just did a video the other day of an Uber driver that had to kill his passenger because the guy was beating his ass for a destination change. It shouldn't be this damn hard. If the ride-sharing companies, talking about Uber and Lyft, would back up the drivers even a little bit, we could help relieve some of this aggression and violence that's taking place with the folks in our back seat. Anyhow, continuing on, as part of the scheme, the suspects often force the victims to unlock their phones and provide passcodes to allow them to transfer money via applications like Cash App. The suspects then would carjack the victim at gunpoint, often hitting or pistol whipping them and threatening the victims. So this is a violent robbery. It's not where they just pull out a firearm, give it up, you put your hands up, they take your shit and go. And they're actually physically hitting folks over the head with pistols and shit like that. So this is, quite traumatic ways of being robbed. I don't believe that a hell of a lot of passengers that get robbed in this manner probably even continue to drive at all, which is why I believe that Uber and Lyft do their damnedest not to make sure these stories get out, which is what yours truly is here for. But I do believe that if a hell of a lot of robberies are going on in one area, they should be sending notices to the drivers in that area. I did videos earlier this year, 39 carjackings in the city of Baltimore in like a 2-month span. The drivers in that area should be getting notices. I think some folks stated they may have received something, but this is what the ride-sharing companies need to do to show the drivers that we're actually concerned for your safety. They don't do a damn thing. They don't do a damn thing about this. So this is what allows these drivers to keep being able to do this stuff. That allows them to keep flourishing. Changing stops in the middle of a trip should trigger something at Uber and Lyft. Even if somebody just quickly took a glance at it or whatever, they're making billions of fucking dollars. Hire somebody that could help us out. Some of us are dying out here, damn it. So that's the problem right there. There should be some certain red flags that Uber and Lyft should actually pay attention to and address. Not this shit where they send you some kind of message, are you okay, with zero follow-up. That's meaningless. That's just giving lip service to something you're not doing a damn thing about. Anyhow, in regards to these ne'er-do-wells, in addition to Shavirio, Caviria, and Charles Young, 22-year-old Javon DeMario Tate and 21-year-old William Charles Sappho, people who look just like me. Understand, I talk about discrimination all the time. These are all folks that look just like me doing this shit. In just about every market I cover, is most folks doing this. People look like me, so pay attention to that. But nevertheless, all three of these gentlemen, whatever the hell you want to call them, have been charged with those same crimes: conspiracy to carry, use, and brandish a firearm in the commission of a crime. So they all got Fed charges. Feds, 85% of your time. So they're all going to do some prison time. I don't know how many years. They all pretty much have fucked up their lives. To be in your early 20s and you got all of these crimes on you. Hopefully more drivers come forward. It's so damn difficult to put a limitation on this when there's such little help or concern coming from the ride-sharing companies. This is yet another case again where I often state that the ride-sharing companies should have some form of insurance that the drivers do not have to contribute to, that steps up and helps drivers going through this shit. Whether they got bullet holes in their cars that they got to fix, or body matter and fluid all over the backseat from somebody getting their brains blown out, or in this case, you're getting pistol whipped and shit like that, you're going to have medical bills and probably some mental health issues. Whereas you're probably scared as hell to put another passenger in your vehicle behind you after the last one pulled out a pistol and smacked you upside the damn head with it. Certainly if it's a young black male. This is why I keep talking about the harm in this shit. But Uber and Lyft should have some kind of insurance that kicks in. You know why I say that? Not just because of the help, the serious amount of assistance it would give to us drivers, but insurance companies do not like to pay claims. And if the insurance companies are constantly having to help out drivers that are getting their asses beat, cars robbed, and shit like that, they would be more willing to create task force, work stronger with police departments and shit like that to prevent it from happening more and more. They're going to do what they have to do to limit the amount of claims they pay out. Just like in our business, as a driver, insurance companies found out people were dying more if they had no seatbelt on or if they rode a motorcycle with no helmet on. So they started pushing to the right politicians to force you to wear a helmet, force you to wear a seatbelt, and get all types of safety features in vehicles because they don't like paying out claims. Same argument, not to get too far off topic, but the same argument I often use when I suggest that police officers should have to have some form of malpractice insurance because an insurance company is always going to hold its clients responsible. You're not going to let people do all kinds of shit without accountability if at the end of the day it means your company is paying out a claim. In this case, it would be the same thing. Once they had to pay out, folks, like I said, having their car shot up or getting the car detailed to have brain matter removed from the damn back seat, they would start doing more and more things to help catch bad guys and prevent drivers from being in awful situations to begin with. But left up to its own devices, Uber and Lyft ain't gonna do a damn thing about this because it doesn't hurt them at all. If you drive your vehicle and someone gets assassinated in the back seat, like a host of the videos I've been doing in several cities now, where passengers literally getting assassinated right in the damn car with the driver, everything in regards to cleanup and getting that vehicle back on the road to be profitable again is on the driver. Uber and Lyft will just deactivate you from the app and hand your trips to the next guy until you figure all that shit out, pay all those expenses, deal with any mental health issues, maybe hearing loss because somebody's firing a bunch of rounds in your damn right ear. All of that is on you until you get back out there. Not one piece of assistance other than we're working with authorities. We've deactivated the murderer from the app or something crazy like that. They do nothing for drivers when drivers are dealing with some of the worst situations. So I do believe they could do us a solid and step up and help out drivers that go through these horrendous situations. We got a lot of us, folks. I'm getting sick and tired, but I want you to know about it. I'm getting sick and tired of telling you about how many rideshare drivers are being carjacked, beaten, raped, robbed, up to and including loss of life. I'm doing a video on this shit almost every other day of a driver in America that's being raped, robbed, carjacked, or killed. And I haven't come across any information to date where Uber or Lyft have stepped up the amount of assistance or their game in finding out who's doing this stuff. Nothing is coming from them. It's the same damn message over and over again. We're working with authorities. We deactivated the bad guy from the app. That's it. So it's almost to the point where it's a pre-recorded answer. Nothing comes out of this shit. Up to and including officers had a homicide detective on one of the stories state that Uber wasn't even cooperating with them in a murder investigation. They were protecting the privacy rights of the damn murderer. If you're a new driver, just understand that is the sole purpose of this. It's not to frighten folks, just to let you know what the hell is going on, because if the rideshare companies are left up to their own devices, they will hide this shit from you until you are one of the victims. It's your boy Tim. Click the like button. As always, subscribe to the damn channel, and I'll see you in the next video.